Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to today's exciting deep dive where we explore the fascinating world of rare and error coins, a place where tiny pieces of metal that most people overlook in daily life can sometimes hold values that seem almost unbelievable. And today's focus is on the 2010 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts by reaching values as high as $4 million due to its remarkable errors, unusual mistakes, and the many factors that elevate an ordinary cent into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So settle in as we unfold the story of how such a small coin carries such big money and how these little imperfections in minting processes turn into opportunities for collectors who dream of stumbling upon a fortune hidden inside their pocket change. And as always, we welcome you to join us in this journey, because the more you learn about these coins, the better chance you have of spotting them before anyone else. So let's begin this incredible discussion about the 2010 cent and why it has become so extraordinary in numismatic history, because unlike ordinary pennies that roll off the presses by the billions every year with perfect uniformity, this particular year gave birth to a range of flaws that slipped through the rigorous quality controls of a U.S. mint, and those errors ended up creating some of the most valuable examples of modern coinage, leading to intense bidding wars among collectors and skyrocketing valuations that shocked even seasoned experts. Now, when we talk about coin errors, we are not just talking about one simple mistake but a broad spectrum of possibilities that make each coin unique, ranging from double dies where the design is struck twice leaving ghostly outlines on the lettering and images, to off-center strikes where the whole design shifts awkwardly toward the edge leaving blank crescents of copper exposed, to die cracks where fissures in the die leave raised lines and ridges across the coin's surface like accidental carvings of nature itself, to wrong planchet strikes where the design of a cent accidentally ends up on a piece of metal intended for another denomination, creating an oddity that should never exist but somehow does. And in 2010 many of these types of errors came together in ways that transformed the coin from ordinary change into a millionaire's prize. Because for collectors what drives value is rarity combined with desirability, and few things are more desirable than a coin that tells a story of failure at the mint yet triumph in the marketplace. So let's take a closer look at some of the error categories that make the 2010 cent worth $4 million in certain cases, starting with the double die obverse variety where Lincoln's profile seems doubled, especially around the eyes, nose, or mouth, creating a striking visual that is instantly recognizable once you know what to look for. And these double dies occur when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly between impressions during its creation, leaving a second set of features that never should have been there. And in 2010 several such dies were used before being retired, which means thousands of coins might have been struck with the error but only a handful have survived in pristine condition, and it is those pristine survivors that command the highest values, with collectors eager to pay millions for a coin that is not just rare but also perfectly preserved. But that is only one category, because there are also the off-center strikes from 2010 that make coins appear lopsided, sometimes with as much as half the design missing. And while minor off-center errors are relatively common, dramatic ones where Lincoln's head is partially missing yet the date 2010 is still clearly visible are extremely scarce, and it is these dramatic survivors that cross into astronomical values, especially when paired with high grades from professional grading companies. Another fascinating possibility from 2010 are the transitional errors where coins might have been struck on planchets of incorrect composition, and while most cents in 2010 were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, mistakes sometimes lead to leftover copper planchets or even foreign coin blanks being struck, and these create anomalies where the weight, color, or metallic content of the coin is entirely different from normal, making them standout treasures. And such transitional errors are so unusual that their rarity alone explains why some collectors have pushed bids into the millions. Beyond this, we have die cracks and cuds, areas where the die that struck the coin broke apart leaving jagged raised lines, or even large blank blobs where part of the design disappears. And while small die cracks are common and usually worth little, major die breaks from 2010 created coins with bold scars that make them unique works of accidental art, and collectors love these because no two are exactly alike, turning each into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And when rarity, condition, and collector demand all align, prices soar to levels that surprise even experts. And when one such 2010 cent with multiple errors surfaced at auction, competition was so fierce that the final hammer price hit the $4 million mark, cementing its place as one of the most expensive modern cents ever sold. But let's not just talk about that one sale, let's dive deeper into why errors in general hold such fascination. Because the US Mint is renowned for its high standards and automated processes, so when an error coin appears it is like catching a glimpse behind the curtain, proof that even the most controlled systems can slip, and for collectors it feels like owning a secret piece of history, a frozen mistake that was never meant to be released, and that psychological connection adds to the value just as much as rarity does. Now consider the possibilities of what you might find in your own pocket change. Because while most 2010 cents are ordinary, millions of them are still circulating today, meaning that one of these rare errors could still be hiding in someone's wallet, coin jar, or dresser drawer right now, and stories abound of people discovering life-changing finds in the most unlikely places, like a child opening a piggy bank and discovering a double die cent worth thousands, or a cashier noticing an off-center strike during a shift and later realizing it was a treasure. And these stories inspire collectors everywhere to keep searching, because the next great discovery might already be out there, and if you understand the errors to look for you increase your odds of spotting them. So let's imagine the excitement of holding a 2010 cent with multiple errors in your hand, knowing that something you got in change for a candy bar could pay for a house, a car, or a college education. That kind of possibility is what fuels the entire coin collecting hobby and especially the error coin niche, and as we continue exploring we see that condition plays a critical role too, because even the rarest error is worth significantly less if it is heavily worn or damaged, but in cases where the coin survives in mint state with sharp luster, strong strike, and little to no contact marks, the value multiplies dramatically. So when the rare 2010 errors have been graded MS 65 or higher they enter the realm of million-dollar valuations, and that is how the $4 million figure becomes possible, because scarcity alone is not enough. It must be paired with pristine condition and intense collector demand, and another layer to this story is provenance, the history of ownership, because when a coin is part of a famous collection or has appeared in major auctions, its pedigree adds prestige and can push values even higher. And in the case of the 2010 cent some of the rarest error examples have appeared in headline auctions that draw international attention, driving prices to record-breaking levels. Now think about the ripple effect this has across the hobby, because once news spreads that a 2010 cent sold for $4 million, suddenly everyone becomes interested in checking their own coins, leading to renewed excitement, more collectors entering the field, and even greater demand for these rare treasures, creating a cycle that sustains and grows the market. And while skeptics may find it hard to believe that a 1-cent coin could ever be worth such money, the truth is that in numismatics rarity, condition, and demand combine in unpredictable ways that sometimes defy logic but always fascinate, and that is why we emphasize learning the details, studying the varieties, and keeping your eyes open, because the next $1 million coin might be waiting in your change right now. So as we wrap this exploration of the 2010 1 cent that can reach $4 million in value due to its errors, mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances, remember that knowledge is the key, and every collector who has ever found a fortune started by simply paying attention to the coins others overlooked, and with billions of cents minted each year the odds might seem small, but history shows us time and again that treasures hide where we least expect them, and maybe someday one of you watching will hold up a coin from 2010 and realize you've just discovered a piece of history that could change your life. So stay curious, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a penny, because sometimes that tiny coin carries the weight of millions.